Hey, Jason, how are
Hey.
you?
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for doing this and for your incredible land and all the things that we're going to get to do a year from now, pretty much.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can't wait, man. We can't wait. We're so grateful for this energy just flowing between us and what we're feeling and how we it just all came together. It feels so aligned with this moment we're going through right now, too.
Yeah, it feels amazing.
Yeah,
I feel like we've all had so many conversations together where we should have figured out how to hit the record button and release it out to the world. So I'm really excited for this drop in.
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of the things that we want to talk about are just very raw and real. And that's how we find each other. Like, there's no facade when we talk, which I absolutely love. There's just a freedom to this space that we create together. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, here, you have the mic. Oh, now I have the mic. Now, here, you have the mic. Now I have the mic. It's just like, hey, let's let whatever needs to come through come through. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like that is the world that we're in now. That's the world that we're bringing in, and that's the world that we're becoming an example and a steward of. So it's so awesome to finally be able to actually hit record and show the world what I'm talking about when I say the we space, because I feel like we embody that really well together. In our conversations, we've just let things come through that need to come through. And that's how we came up with this beautiful vision of this event that we're going to hold a year from now, because
Yeah.
it's time to have that space. So I really want to hear more about like the story of like your land and like how you came into that space, because I know that that land chose you and you chose that land. It wasn't that the land chose you and then you were forced into that land. It was
Right.
the other way around. Like you chose the land and the land chose you and the land chose you and you chose the land, right? Like there's this
Right.
mutual love and respect and admiration for the land, which is one of the reasons why I'm so honored to be able to go out there and experience it.
Mm.
Yeah, definitely. No, it was, it's one of the gifts we would say of COVID, right? All this whatever's going on.
The great
Uh,
show.
yes, really. Okay, we can't travel anymore. We're traveling 20 countries a year. Like the last thing we're thinking is, maybe there and somewhere in the field is like there's some land waiting for us. And yes, we say yes, but there's not one intention of it at all, just a little seed.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, when it stops, we're just here in Costa Rica, and then it's like, oh, after a month, it looks like it's calling, right? We're paying all this rent, and we're in all these houses, and is this what we want? And we want to kind of like start putting our hands in the dirt and start really feeling and connecting with the field through the earth. So
Mhm.
we started flowing and seeing what was around, right? And we found a beautiful piece.
We found a beautiful piece of land, and originally we were like, we just want a nice sweet little home and we want to connect with the land, and next to some friends of ours, and we found this beautiful piece, and we were actually really, really close to closing out on that. And then Wampa woke up in the middle of the night and was like, we're making a huge mistake.
Sweating like, oh, my whole body burning in fire.
I was like, we close on this land like in then like
Tomorrow.
a week, like really soon. What do you mean we're making
You're
a huge
crazy.
mistake? I was like, it's beautiful. It has a view. Like it's a beautiful size piece of land. He was like, Regan, no. He's like, we're not dreaming big enough. There are waterfalls. There are fruit trees. There are natural springs. There is land that is calling us, and I see it, and I feel it, right? It is huge.
There's even houses already on the land, babe. This is not the one. It's gonna take too long.
And I'll be honest,
Wow.
I was the one that was like, look, are you sure? I don't know. Maybe this is in like a few years' time. Can we just breathe? We have everything
This is
planned
perfect.
out.
It was amazing.
We have everything planned out in front of us. Meanwhile, the land we nearly purchased had some challenges with the boundary line and a few things, which was very clear and evident that was the sign. And so we called the guy who was helping us, and we were like, look, we're sorry, and we're super clear now that it's this, and this, and this. And we don't even know if that's out there, because this is a crazy dream list of a fairyland magical vortex. But we're just gonna wait for that one, right? And he rings us back within 12 hours, and he says, guys, this land just appeared in front of me. It slid across my desk. It's a crazy scenario which is going on. I think you should come and look at it. And we weren't sure at first, and the minute we arrived and we stepped on the land, we just felt this whole vibration go through us, and we just looked at each other and we're like, oh, this would be it.
No doubt. Then we walked with coconuts everywhere, fruit trees everywhere, 10-year-old fruit trees pumping fruit fruit
Wow.
rotting in the earth, because the guy that owned it in the moment wasn't even connected to the earth. Like the earth was actually kicking him out and calling us in, right? So that was this big attraction. And we just walked full of waterfalls. It's got like 5 waterfalls. It's got the most amazing ocean views, like everything we saw and more. 4 houses, not 1, but 4, that we had to kind of put more together, but they were a plus in the land because they were charged in the price, because the guy really needed the money like yesterday. So, you know, it was a yes. And from the moment we got in, it's like, okay, this is way huge than the vision we had. Thank you. Now really let's listen. And we did so much work in, like, you know, getting off our ego and what we wanted and what we thought and our own whatever little thing and plan. And it's like, thank you. Just, we're here. We're channels. We're protectors. We're guides. We're whatever, for everything for this land. Show us the way. And, you know, tons of meditations, activations here and there. And just slowly everything started to be revealed. And all of a sudden, another piece popped out that was really important to get, because it kind of was the connection of like the heart shape, that it's now almost like it's a beautiful womb. It became a beautiful womb with like a heart, and it's all 3 pieces of land instead of 1. So it was all one step after the other.
One step at a time, fully trusting, and now it's all gridded up and coated with source seeds everywhere.
And now there's cool coming through, and now there's like, it's just this beautiful project now with you. Like, it was perfect. You popped in the right moment, and then that connection first with Regan, right? That you guys were so into it, and I was there, but not physically. And then when we connected, it was a full-on vortex we created. It's just so beautiful how everything has just flowed.
Yeah, it evolved into the miracle that it is. See, that's something that I think is really cool about life. So many people are waiting for miracles to happen in the world instead of actually embodying the miracle itself. And I don't think that miracles happen. I think that you evolve into miracles. And this is a thing that most people don't really fully get on this planet yet, is like, it requires some effort and work to evolve into a miracle. You get given the seed of the miracle. Like, you were shown a vision. This is a perfect example. You were shown a vision that the land that you were about to purchase wasn't the right one. You could have been like, yeah, whatever. It was just a nightmare. I'm going to go back to sleep.
Exactly.
And then you probably would have had a really horrible experience on the land for a very long time because it wasn't the right piece. Right? But instead, you took that seed of the miracle, you cultivated that miracle, and you together created a miracle. A modern miracle is formed because of that. And I can't wait to explore those waterfalls. I love waterfalls. So that value, right? Like that ability to just be centered in your knowing and to be clear is what creates the room for miracles to happen. Because so often people are always like, I go out into the world and I see people praying for miracles. I see my wall, people are talking about, they're praying for miracles. They're just hoping that a miracle will fall on them. And it's not about that. We're here to create the miracles. And that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to about at the workshop as well, is that we're going to be working on cultivating and creating miracles through authenticity, through real authenticity, not the stuff that's peddled out there in the world today, but like what it would mean to be real and to actually acknowledge that it does take work. Like that land that you guys own, I know because I own land too, it's not easy. You have to do a lot of work on that land, and to be a good steward of that land, there's a lot of things that are required. It's by no stretch of the imagination easy. However, it is worth it. And that's the most important part about it, is like cultivating that miracle is taking that seed of hope and helping it to grow into something amazing and large. You know, when we do that, we show that miracles are possible. But so many people on this planet just believe that people are, miracles instant. I've had many times in my life where people are like, you have an easy life. And I'm like, you have no idea how hard it was to get here. I do have an easier life now because I put in all the work to get to this point. I helped to make my life into a miracle. And you can do the same.
Yes.
I'm not special. I'm not magical. I'm not some person that is greater than anyone else. I'm simply somebody that took what was given to me and cultivated it into the modern miracle that it is today. We are all capable of this.
Yes.
So many people, though, they believe that miracles happen to them or for them instead of them building their miracle. And I really love that about this workshop, because I see us bringing together all these amazing miracles in the world and saying, hey, look, we just cultivated it. We just did it. We're not miracles. We weren't born miracles. We chose to take the miracle seed within us, that God cell, and expand it into an embodied version of ourselves. We actually did the work necessary to cultivate this. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about trees, is because I believe very strongly that we interrupted a cycle on this planet a long, long, long time ago. Mm-hmm. We were living with nature. Everything was going really great, actually. Yeah. Learning lots of amazing things. And then all of a sudden we decided, you know what, we know better than nature. Yeah. And we interrupted that pattern. We began to remove the trees, causing more extreme weather events and all these other things that had to happen to show us, hey, this is not the right answer. We don't need to go this route. Find better ways. Yeah. And we as humans in our arrogance didn't know that. We were like, well, no, we are a miracle, so we are allowed to do whatever we want. And so we continued to devastate and destroy this world until it came to a point where we were given another chance. We're like, hey, humanity, you have a chance. Do you want to keep going this route? Because if you do, you will be extinct. Or do you want to start to learn to work with nature again? And we began to like, oh, actually, we do kind of want to work with nature. So let's stop being at war with nature. Let's stop devastating and destroying, and let's start rebuilding it. And we started to rebuild nature. And I'm saying we as in like the collective we of humanity. Like we're stewards of the land again. We're starting to understand what it looks like and why we came here in the first place. And so learning to cultivate this miracle, I believe, is truly what we're here to do. And this miracle is us. We are the miracle. And I don't just mean me and Regan and Juan. I mean like all of us. Everyone in this world is a miracle waiting to happen. Just cultivate it. And that's what I really see this workshop coming into being, is like, we're going to be there to cultivate the miracle together. Yes. And on top of that, not only are we cultivating miracles, but we're planting trees while we're cultivating miracles. So we're getting these new levels of clarity and insight. And then immediately the next day, we're going to plant trees. And by doing so, we're planting the miracles in the land to live long, healthy lives and to provide and change this world. So I can't think of a better, more amazing event to be part of. And I'm so grateful that you guys are in that collective vision with me, that we all are together here ready to create those miracles.
That's so beautiful, man. Yeah. And I love the symbol of it, right? Of that act of planting trees, as you're saying, because really, when you're talking about this, the word that keeps coming to me is co-creation, right? Because many times we think like we are the creators. Oh, I am the creators. I am the miracle. I am creating a miracle, or I hope for a miracle. There's always this separation instead of like, I'm co-creating. I'm co-creating with this infinite intelligence that's coming through me. All I'm doing is listening and actually letting go of my ego in order for it to come through me, right? And that's the beauty of the tree too. You don't even have to do anything. The tree is there. It's ready. It's done. Give it all the love. Of course, add the source seed that we would love for you to explain the source seed, right? Which is going to magnify it much more. But that's what we do. We are there to support the process, but the seed, the DNA, what flowers are going to come out, the fruit that's going to come out, how are the roots, everything is there. We have to do nothing. Same is in business, same is relationships, same is anything. All we need to do is clear the channel in order for us, when we plant the tree, and you've seen that when you go in with good vibrations, good energy, good thoughts, you're in good condition, you can plant the trees in the peak of the mountain, in the best health ever, or you can be like, and you get there, it's like you're thinking who knows where and whatever. How is that tree going to grow, right? Like, that's the difference, that are we being the best channels for the tree, for the seed that we're bringing and co-creating into the universe, right, into the earth? Or are we out there completely unpresent and just leaving it out to, well, if it's a miracle, it's going to happen or not, it's not in my hands, right? So I feel when I see planting trees, especially in this land, some parts is really easy, right? But there's some parts where you gotta walk, you gotta sweat, you're gonna get dirty, there's gonna be mud. Like, that's life too. Like, if you just tell me everything is just flow and it's all roses and it's just, the best sweets ever, like, well, no, sometimes you gotta work on it too, and you can do it playing and you can do it in flow and whatever, but sometimes it's challenging, right? I feel it's the same. So how do we work with that challenge? And even though if it's challenging and, an ant bit you or a bee or something that you weren't even expecting, right? But you go and plant that tree with the most amazing energy and full of love and intention. And that's how the tree is going to grow. So this is why I love how we're bringing philosophy, right? Yeah. And all this mindset too, and all this wisdom we're bringing with so many people, and then going into the practice. Let's plant it, let's do it. So it's a perfect balance and combination, I feel.
Yeah. So beautiful. I think it would be cool, Jason, as well, to hear a little bit of your story. I know, with the miracles that are coming through you and being embodied through you, you have big missions around planting millions of trees all over the world. And we know and feel the depth of what actually gets restructured on the planet when that many trees activated with the source seeds actually come through. So I think it would be so cool for some people to hear, I guess, where did that start for you? And how did you end up here with this big vision? And, when you came to us and told us about this vision, we were just in such resonance. We're like, yes, of course, use our land. We'll plant as many trees as possible. I think even this year before the event, we're going to plant about 3,000, when this rainy season is done. We're
already 500.
Yeah, exactly. Just to prep everything. So yeah, it would be beautiful to hear a little bit of your journey around that.
Yeah, well, first I'll just show people what a source seed is, because, it's your audience and my audience, and some of them might not know. So this is a source seed. It is not an organic material, meaning that it's not like what actually grows the tree. There's a lot of misunderstanding around that. It is really just an 8-dimensional device that allows the energy to be present with the tree. Now, many people have asked me, they're like, well, why do you need to teach a tree? Trees know everything. It's the same thing as why humans interact with trees, so that they can grow together. The source seed isn't something that you put into the tree. We're not hurting or harming the tree in any way, shape, or form. We're planting it 8 inches below the tree. And the reason we're planting it below the tree is so that it has an opportunity to introduce itself. It's not forcing anything. It's simply allowing an opportunity, if that tree wants it, to have some extra wisdom around some things that have happened all the way up to the 8th dimension. Currently, trees on this planet are anywhere between the 5th and 7th dimension. So, it's something that gives them a little bit of a boost if they choose to. But one thing that's really beautiful about it is it does give off biophotons. So these biophotons are actually living light. And if you know much about plants and things like that, what happens is they go through something called photosynthesis, which creates biophotons. So these source seeds actually assist the tree to grow faster and have more resources so that they can do what they need to do. Another little happy side effect, one that we didn't actually plan for, was that when you plant source seed trees, you'll notice that the weather patterns will normalize in the area. And that's because when biophotons go up into the sky, they actually work with the sky stream, as I call it, and that sky stream begins to balance out. You see, as humanity, what we did, we actually damaged the sky stream tremendously on this planet. Not only did we think that we could geoengineer events, which if you go look that up, it's really fascinating. They affected the weather very strongly. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just a thing that they wanted to try, and they realized it didn't work. And then we killed lots of trees, which affected the sky stream as well. So all of these things that we did, we now have an opportunity to help to repair. Now, that's the whole real vision behind it, is like the extreme weather events that we're having are consequence to our actions. They really are. I'm not saying that we wouldn't have like a pole shift and all the other stuff. It just wouldn't be as drastic. I mean, I got to be frozen in my house in Texas. Like, what? My bed became an ice pack because it's a gel bed. So it was literally frozen solid. It was 28 degrees in my house for 3 days.
Wow.
So that's not normal. And it was a very extreme event. And now we actually planted over 1,000 source seed trees on my land. And Texas is now experiencing a cooler weather thing. I'm not saying that it's all our cause, but I definitely know that it's contributing. Because what's happening is the weather is cool and rainy constantly right now. And that's not normal for Texas. Like, you can go outside and it's not 110 degrees right now. It should be. It's not. It's like in the 80s. That's perfect weather. That's what it was designed to be. Yeah. So again, I'm not saying that the trees are the reason, but they're definitely a contributing factor. And as we continue to work with this world, we can repair that sky stream and allow biophotons, which are living light, the real thing that should regulate weather, not chemicals and toxins, but living light, regulating the weather worldwide. And the vision of the million trees for the crystallized roots movement was just so that we could actually have the perfect amount as a tipping point. So every tree on the planet would have the opportunity to choose. It would be clear in the tree's collective field what they could do and that they wanted to grow into that. And again, this is a very strong, important thing. Introduction versus force. Forcing something is never a good idea, because if you force something, even if it does the thing that you want it to do, it won't do it the way that it needed to be done, because there's a time and space to everything. And the source seeds, they allow an introduction to occur. That is all. And then you, as the person planting the source seed tree, also allow an introduction to occur. And so it creates this beautiful, harmonious connection with nature and with the earth. And it helps you to become part of it. And one of the coolest things ever is they say that like the wise people plant trees in the world that they will never sit under the shade of, because they know that the future is more important than the present. That our job is to preserve and to create a better world the days after we leave. So if we can do something that leaves a legacy to change this world in the better, that's what we came for. That's the miracle. And that's what I love about what you're building with your land and the retreat center and all the things, because you're doing the same thing that one of my visions is, which is the 55 centers for expansion all over the world. And I don't have to build all of these. They're just expansion centers. They're centers that have all the technology and all the tools available, all the resources and people to create optimum expansion, like everything that you need. And one of my passions is, as an alchemist, to create products that do that, to work with technology that does that. One of the cool things, this is my newest fun little creation here, is M-State with phytonutrients and a high-level octave gold water. And what it does is it's insane. Like, it's just totally restorative and renewal. And for those of you that just watch that and are like, I want that, all you have to do is connect to that I just showed you, feel the energy of it, bring it into your form and learn from it. Our greatest tools are not necessarily the things that we have to imbibe and take. Our greatest tools are the essence and presence of things. So as we continue to grow and we move into more of an essence perspective, this is where the world really begins to change. Instead of having to take things from nature, we connect to nature. And we begin to share with nature, and nature begins to share with us. And that's where the fifth dimension is formed, in a sharing space where you're no longer needing to be toxic and take or toxic and receive. Instead, you simply are sharing in constant state. And that's one of the beautiful things about our connection is we end up in sharing all the time. Like, I love to talk to these two individuals because we always end up sharing, and there's no like give or take or balancing, and it's just like love. That's it.
Yeah,
So sweet.
it's so beautiful. And I feel that we've seen such a ripple, not just through the land with planting these 300 odd trees with source seeds in the beginning, but we've seen that even ripple through the people on the land as well. We have an amazing planting team here that are the Tico, they're local Costa Rican, and they're from a very small town community from just 10 minutes around the corner. And I actually took a little video, Jason, I think you saw it, and Wampa was explaining with the love and the intention and why the source seed and
in the simplest way words possible.
Yes, in a very, very simple way. But I was there and I just saw all of their faces and I felt them, and they were just so open to it. It was so beyond the mind, because that it's so far from the mind of anything that they're used to or they've heard before, they've seen before. They're looking at this going, what is this? Their mind's probably going crazy. But beyond that, we felt their hearts open, right? And we felt them, and we've been seeing them and working with them planting, and
they all pray, they all connect, they all put their hands on the earth, because we've seen it, right? They don't do it to show it to us, like no, we have different views when you walk, and they're fully submerged.
It's so present, and I feel it's such a ripple, and it's rippling through the local communities here as well. And so it's so beyond just that one tree and just this one piece of land, and it's really like creating such a beautiful ripple through there. It makes my heart so happy.
And also I love when you talked about the grid that we're creating between all the trees, Jason. I think that would be important if you want to share a little bit, because when you talked about, I just saw it, and it just I just sprouted so much love in my heart just to hear it's already happening, right?
Every tree communicates with every other tree. This is scientifically proven. So when one tree learns something, all trees have an opportunity to learn something. And this is beautiful. This is actually how humanity is too. We've just shut down a lot of our psychic and telekinetic abilities and telepathic abilities because the current is always running with us. Always. We've just shut it down. And again, that's part of like learning to be the miracle again, and to cultivate and to unlock and to open and to be part of that. But trees, they never forgot. They've always been that way. And so what happens is when one tree learns something, all the trees learn something, and this creates a newness to the grid. And what's awesome is just like people, no tree is the same. No experience that the tree gets, no angle that the tree understands, right? And so what happens is every tree that's planted with a source seed is a new perspective of that level of technology. And it takes about 1 million of them to create an 8-dimensional perspective shift for trees. That is the tipping point. That is the reason why there's 1 million of them. Now, if we finish the first 1 million before the 3 years is over, cool. I'll keep going. I don't care. I'll plant as many as I can actually plant. But 1 million is the minimum that we want to do. And worst case scenario, I've decided that I'll just buy a huge piece of land and have a mass planting event, and we'll plant like 100,000, 200,000, whatever's left over at the end. It'll happen. So we'll get our 1 million because that's what's important. If we're going to do it, we'll do it, and it will appear and it will be perfect and it'll be magical. And these next 3 years are just going to be incredible because as each tree is planted, more awareness of the 8-dimensional octave is shared with every tree. And here's the thing, trees have huge fields. People don't know this, but they have huge fields. Not only do they communicate to each other across far distances, but they can communicate to us within like 20 miles. So if you plant a source seed tree within 20 miles, that area is now open to a new octave, a new energy. One tree. Now imagine you plant 300 trees. The amplification of that would be massive. You'd probably be affecting 30, 40, 50 miles at least. You plant 10,000 trees. Now you're affecting, I don't know, roughly like 300-400 miles at least, maybe even more, depending on like how much information is being bounced and shared before that. But what happens is there's this thing called the natural signal, and it's a thing in life. And there's this thing called the artificial signal. And the artificial signal was like all the technologies, the way that computers resonate, all these things that people call them EMFs. And then you have the natural frequency. And the EMF and the natural frequency, what's really cool about the natural frequency is it cleans up EMFs. But we've begun to create levels of EMFs that are so big and so massive that it takes thousands of trees to clean up the EMF, like you just to run it through it, because the amount of biophotons that the EMFs kill is just ridiculous. Here's a fun little fact. Our bodies also use biophotons to heal. So you look at the world that we've built for ourselves, and most of it's built in arrogance, to be honest with you, but we built against nature. We tried to separate ourselves from nature. And so we took away the healing element of biophotons. And that's one of the main premises of for like my life this lifetime, is to really just get the message of biophotons to the masses. Because if you've ever gone out and you just hugged a tree, it really does help the inflammation in your body. It really does assist you to feel better. As silly as it may sound to some people out there, I love hugging trees and I'm proud of it. But there are people out there who think that hugging a tree is a hippie thing, and that's okay. You can think that. But if you actually try it, you'll find that there's actual science behind it. Just like grounding, taking your shoes off so that the rubber is not blocking you from the earth's frequency, and standing in the mud or on the earth. There's science behind this, and you can look these up. And this is a really powerful time because we're learning to work with nature again. And I believe this is the beginning of the change that we all came here for. I believe that we're here today. Today's day one, actually. Today is the first destiny cycle, and it's a huge, huge change in the world. You look at the events of the world, people are starting to realize things aren't working the way that they thought they were working. Things are starting to change very drastically in the world, and it's all because we're the miracles and we're cultivating it. We're starting to do this work. The Source Seed movement is one of many movements that are going to be happening. There aren't just one movement that changes everything. It's us collaborating together to create the change. And this is such a beautiful opportunity to do that. So that's something that I think is really important to understand, is biophotons. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look up the word biophoton. Learn about it. It's living light. It's one of the most powerful things that you will ever give your body. And it's one of the things that we're amplifying by creating these source seed trees.
Yeah.
Not only that are we amplifying it for the whole collective, but we're also doing it for the sky stream. You look at the implications of biophotons in water, and you'll notice that it actually cleans out the pollution. So what happens when more biophotons are in the sky is we get cleaner rain. Well, we get cleaner rain, now we have cleaner water. Now we have cleaner water, we have less bacteria, less pollution. All these things that we've created, we can counteract using living light. Who would have thought?
Yeah, that's so beautiful, Jason. And yeah, when you study also the nervous system, right, you see that it communicates through biophotons. Like we have that biophotonic energy, which is the energy actually from the sun, as you're saying. It is science, like it's measurable. Yeah. The sun is biophotonic energy coming. It's like, oh, we have the sun in our nervous system. Like now we're bringing all that, we're demystifying spirituality, right? And this is part of like the workshop we're doing together is how do we demystify spirituality and give people tools that they can apply right now to upgrade their lives, to open up to what's really going on in the planet right now in the simplest, fastest way possible, because all you get to do is get the mind out of the way. All the chips that have been there since whatever ancestry and this life and whenever, doesn't matter. Just the more you shift them and let them go and you connect with the essence, the soul, the biophotonic energy, you just let yourself go into the process, and that just is the fastest evolution you can go into, right? And I love just mixing, just relating the word biophotons also with evolution that we're talking about, right? And awareness and all that, because when you're like, okay, that's my nervous system, and my nervous system is actually my computer, right? People think is, oh, my brain is the most important thing. Hey, wait, your nervous system, your brain goes all the way to the tip of your toes, right? People think it's here, and they're just worried about the brain. It's like, hey, you have a huge brain. Take care of your nervous system. If your nervous system is in flight or fight mode and you're protecting yourself and you're not feeling safe and you're closed, all your vortexes of energy are closed, because each one of the nervous plexus that are the ones that send the energy to the field, right, are closed because of traumas that we've had, because of whatever past we're repeating, the memory, cellular memory that we're repeating, right? But when we let go of that, the biophotonic energy comes back to that flow, which is our natural state, right? So how beautiful is that? You're doing it on the tree, but then people planting trees, and then the trees emanating that energy, and then people receive that energy, and they're like, oh, I'm kind of safe. It's kind of good. And then the intuition opens up, and then you start listening, and it's pure love.
It's pure love. Yeah. And I have to go back to the tree hugging, because I used to have that chip, right? Oh no, the tree hugging hippie, right? And it was like, even like a term I kind of grew up with a little bit, people saying that in my family. And it's so interesting, right? Because I feel like these are like the very subtle distortions and programs that get plugged in at an early age or another life, whatever, right? And it removes us and distances us from this truth. And I think there's just such a beautiful parallel which is going on when we're planting trees in this way, in this beautiful, activated, intentional way. We're allowing, in some ways, the trees to return to this greater level of truth, which shifts the environment and the atmosphere back to a greater level of truth. And we are all connected to that. So within us, we start doing that. And I believe it's our responsibility to check these programs and check these inverted geometries and these pieces within our system and our field that are slightly switched or off or not running at the highest frequency, right? Because if you felt like, oh, okay, hugging trees, okay, no judgment on that, but maybe question that, like, where does that come from? I mean, if you hug a tree, you're not going to get a disease or blow something up. Like last time I checked, it's a really great thing to do, right? But can you see the insanity of it if the program's running? Because if the program's running, they're like, hippie, right? Yeah. And it can run so deep. And I just think it's such a good example for people to really check in. If you have those reactions, interesting. Well, I'm not that reaction. Where is that reaction coming from in me? And actually taking your consciousness into the observer, so you can start noticing, hang on, is that actually mine? Do I choose to have that? What if I didn't have that? How would I be? Oh, I guess I would hug the tree, right?
Yeah, exactly. Very well said.
Yeah.
I feel like that's being broken open too.
What was that?
I feel like that's also being broken open too. Like that belief structure that if I do this thing, then I'm separate from other things. Doing things doesn't separate you. You are part of Team Humanity, regardless of what you do. You choose whether you embrace and help Team Humanity or whether you create problems for Team Humanity to solve. That's really it. And if you create problems for Team Humanity to solve, you're still in Team Humanity. You're just creating problems and Team Humanity solving them so that it becomes better anyway. There is nothing that can be done under the sun that actually stops us from growing into who we are. That's the biggest misunderstanding on this planet. Now, we can outgrow things, and Team Humanity does, but Team Humanity has to outgrow it. And so these misunderstandings, these belief structures, if you want to be one of those people that creates the problem with those, you can, or you can do what Regan just said there and actually just be like, hey, this isn't mine. I want to look at this. And now I don't need it anymore. I'm done. Okay, cool. Hugging the tree, right? Because if you hug the tree, then it shows an example to others that might not be able to hug the tree.
Yeah.
There is a thick amount of programming on this planet that has to be overcome to hug a tree. And every example of someone that does hug a tree, especially in public, that's not doing it in the privacy thing, right? Like you're not ashamed of it, you're just openly hugging the tree. You're creating a space where people are like, wait, that person didn't just die. They didn't just get sick and fall over right then and there. Wait, maybe hugging trees is safe. Well, wonder what would happen if I did it, right? That's the joy and the beauty of one thing that I'm really looking forward to about this workshop is when we do this workshop, we're going to be examples, creating examples that will create examples for others to see. So we'll all come to this location, play together, but then we're all going to go back into our own nexuses and be examples of whatever it is that we learn. And I have a feeling it's going to be awesome, whatever it is. But those presences that update within us, we become examples of. And that dissolves and demystifies this field, this belief. Like for the longest time, spirituality has been a money thing. If you pay me enough money, I'll give you the secret to everything. And you now have the secret to everything, so you don't have to work ever again. Well, none of that's true, because there is no secret to everything other than love, really, and you already have it. Right. But two is like having it being so mystical and so over the top. That's a control mechanism. There is going to be things that somebody can't explain to you, and if they're smart, they'll just say, "Hey, I can't explain that," because it's a faith thing. You either believe it or you don't, and if you don't believe it, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But if somebody comes to you and they say you have to believe something, you might want to walk away, because that's a control thing. There isn't a belief structure that is perfect and like it will just be. Anything that is spoken is never going to be completely true. It can't be, because it's going to be a perspective of truth. And that's why, like, my favorite quote of all time, the only thing I've ever said that will go on my tombstone is that the truth can never be spoken, only heard in the silence. It's what my apprentice will write on my tombstone when I leave. Because, and not even my name, because I don't care. Literally, it will just be that. Because that is the most important thing that humbles me and grounds me and brings me back to center every single time. I have a truth, and it is an amazing truth that works for me. But you have a truth, and your truth is just as amazing, and it works for you until you tell me otherwise. Which means that until you tell me otherwise, I'm going to celebrate everything you're doing and just say that you're awesome and amazing, because that's holding space for you to be awesome and amazing. My job isn't to judge you and weaken you or to try to reprogram or repurpose you. My job is to be an example of what I believe to be true so that you can do the same. Exactly. And that freedom that comes from not needing to change others is what we're here to be. That level of freedom to just be. And I'm really looking forward to this workshop, because I know that all the people that come to this workshop are going to get to be in high level presence with themselves and have really amazing examples come together. And then we get to plant trees together. I mean, can you think of a better thing to do with your life than to plant trees with awesome people while you're being awesome too? Like, that's the future.
It really is.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine, like, my whole system can't even grasp where we're even going to be a year from now, because everything's just accelerating so fast. And I mean, even in this month, for example, we've just seen the biggest influx and acceleration towards truth, literally. And we've seen this in ourselves, in our own lives, and also with clients and friends and family and everything. And it's almost like this, for many people, this deep clearing and purging process and this huge recalibration into purity just happened. And it's almost like now it's like, and it's anchoring itself in. And I can't even, like, my system can't even like dream into what everything's going to feel like a year from now, because it feels like it's going to be 10 years at the same time, but it just feels so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing this 1 year ahead. Imagine we're
Right.
talking about this 1 year ahead. Like we're already buzzing with the energy. We're so there, like it's happening now, right? Like now we're planting the tree, we're putting the source seed, and I'm already doing it with 100 people. You know, it's so beautiful that it's happening already. And of course, we know that doesn't even exist. It's an illusion, but now it's more clear than ever, right? That it's going just so fast, just so accelerating that all we need to do is like enjoy the ride and go for a right, like, surf the wave, man. Because there's no.
I'm working on t-shirts that say that.
Yeah.
Because enjoy the ride is the final step of our proposal. Be good, do good, have faith, and enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
And so like we're gonna have shirts that say enjoy the ride on them, because it's just so important that people just pause and go, oh, I can enjoy this. I don't have to like fight this. I don't have to struggle. I'm on this car. I chose to be on Earth. There's nothing I can do other than leave this car, which isn't really gonna end up well. So I'm gonna stay on this car. Why don't I just let go and just enjoy the ride? I'm taken care of and everything is perfect. So yeah, 100%. And it is amazing to watch.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more people also really get that and embody that, you know, versus like, okay, someone maybe 2 months ago, okay, I'm struggling, and they kind of like still attached to the struggle and try and solve the struggle. We're just seeing more and more people going, oh, that was struggle. Okay, what if I didn't struggle? Okay, let me just choose that. Okay, now I'll just be that, you know? And we're just seeing it happen like this, whereas it took a little bit longer in the past, and it's happening so quickly now.
Yeah. With ease, grace, and flow. That's the beauty, right? And that's where love comes in. And that's where the tree hugging comes in, and the tree planting and everything, because it's all about love. It's the love vibration. And actually, just to bring a little bit of science into that, I just wanted to, because when you were talking about the tree hugging, I've done it since after, I think, 17, because I was really rebel. At 15, 16, I'm like, I'm not one of those. No way, you know, because with my mom, I used to hug trees all the time, and he was super on them. No way, I'm not one of them, right? But then, okay, I surrendered again. And then I started researching, and I just loved it. And I felt myself recharged and like calm down. Then I would meditate for hours just under the tree. And it's been just part of my life, right? And I'm just like, I started researching, and then seeing that the 528, which is the love frequency, is being emanated, like, as you were saying, it's miles away, like a tree is emanating that energy. That's why you go to a forest, you go to a waterfall, you go, and you feel there's something there that if you relax into it, if you enjoy it, you're not in the mind going crazy, thinking what you're going to eat, where you're going to go, and out of the present moment, and you really receive, right, what's there. You enter this space of heart, of love, or no time, no space, of being, of enjoying the ride, of just like looking at yourself and like not being so attached to being right or not right, and maybe like, oh, I can upgrade this and that in my life. Like, it's such a great space to upgrade your life and be humbled down and you know, surrender to the process of purification, which is really what we're doing. We're letting go of anything that's not vibrating in the light, in the highest, right? That's all it is at the end. So it's beautiful to know that with just hugging a tree, just being in a forest, just planting a tree gives you so much more than like, I'm saving the planet, you know, I'm bringing more oxygen, right? It's like, okay, well, that's 0.0001%. And yes, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like that the need to save is that struggle that creates this ego, and I call it the benevolent dictator, because if you believe that you're here to save the world, you've missed the point.
Yeah.
You're here to enjoy the ride, and that means saving yourself.
Yes.
And finding what it means to be saved for each individual is completely different. So I'm not saying that you need to follow a specific plan to be saved, because you aren't saved that way. You're saved whatever way that works for you. You've got to find a way to enjoy the ride, because you're here. Why not enjoy it? I mean, this is actually one of the most anticipated, most wanted rides to be on in the entire universe. So like, the line to get here is ridiculous. You're here. They want to be here. There's a reason they want to be here. They see the whole game for what it is.
Yeah.
So enjoy the ride. Like, literally find what it is that's stopping you from enjoying the ride. Life's too short. Work on it. Solve it. Become better. Enjoy the ride. Find what's stopping you from enjoying the next level of the ride. Keep doing that for the rest of your life, and you'll have a great life. You'll have one of the best lives you've ever lived in your entire world, because there are so many amazing people here to play with right now. So many amazing people, more amazing people than have ever been on the earth. And tomorrow there will be more, not less.
Yeah.
So enjoy the ride, get out of your own way, and be the miracle. Like, I mean, I think that's really the summation of it all. But don't try to save the world, because that automatically loops you into a game where you will lose. Because there's nothing to save in this world other than yourself. So if you want to save the world, take a moment, go walk in front of the mirror, stare at the mirror, and consider that the world.
Yes.
And save it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I love it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
So
Oh man, I
beautiful.
can't wait to play together and actually, right? Like just share some space
know.
together. Hopefully you'll be here this year and not wait 1 year to come, right?
You're gonna come, Elliot.
Hopefully I will, yeah. I think I'm probably going to drop in and just plant a few trees with like a small event or something. But the major event, like, it's going to take a year to prepare for that, because I mean, I think we're planting like 10,000 trees or something.
Mhm.
There's a lot that goes into that. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about that before we close today? Like, what is it like preparing for an event like this? Because I think that people just
we're full on. We basically have a full-time team member dedicated just to this event, and it's a year away, you know, and she's amazing, and the rest of the team are amazing, and we're very present on it as well. But I mean, there's a lot, you know. We were walking, when was it? I think on Sunday, walking different areas of the land and letting the land speak to us around also what trees go where in different zones. And then from there, I'm mapping out that. There's also then infrastructure and making sure that there's water access. Rainy season is great, but then when it gets drier, making sure that all the trees have water, because the worst you do is you plant the trees and then they die because they don't have any water. There's no point in that, right? So making sure all the infrastructure is set up, and then planning the actual event with different planting teams. And we've been tuning into a really beautiful flow. And Jason touched on it earlier around having some masterminding and workshop sessions where you go in and you get to upgrade your own consciousness and plant the roots of the future within you, and then actually go out into the field and integrate that into the planting of the trees. But it's not just going to be planting trees. We have experts here in Costa Rica that are going to come and teach you about the different types of trees and what they're doing with the atmosphere. And there's going to be so many magical upgrades left, right, and center every minute, basically, right?
Yeah, and so much more than just planting trees, right? Because we'll learn that during the day when you actually go and plant the tree, and depending on the one that's guiding the session of the trees, which are all trees expert and nature experts and all that, then you have the mastermind with us and other experts on, okay, let's just like everything we're talking about, how to upgrade your life right now, how to like surrender to that miracle, how to be a co-creator, how to live in abundance, like everything we can share. That there's so much information, we all want to share so much, right? So the beauty of this that I love the most, Jason, that we all agreed to, is that people really don't pay for all this information that could be thousands of dollars, right? They just come and they give back to the land, they plant the tree, and they receive all this amazing workshop with all these leaders from all over the world as an exchange. So I love that also there's not even the money in between. It's just, okay, let's give back. We're all doing it for something bigger than anything we even know. So I just think it's got the highest frequency that we can even call in just because of all these reasons.
It does, yeah. And one of the big pillars through the mastermind piece as well, and we've chatted on this quite a bit now, is conscious wealth creation. And what does that actually look like? What does true abundance look like? Because there's so much out there that is teaching the opposite, quite honestly, of what we're going to go into. So distorted and keeping people in so many deep loops. And so I think all of us together, plus some of the people that are going to be there in service, hold so many beautiful codes to just help you click and recalibrate some of these pieces so you can really upgrade your own life. Because I know for all of us, our deep prayer is to, well, one of them, there's many, but one of the deep prayers is to really have the resources of the world reallocated and distributed into the hands of the people with the biggest hearts and the purest intentions, right? Because that's really how we leave this world a better place. I mean, you can have a huge dream, but if you don't have the resources to go out and then make it happen, it can be very challenging. But we're seeing this huge shift right now, and more we're seeing the distribution into the hands of people that really are going to leave this planet a better place. And there are big pillars through this workshop and big activation points that will just really help you do that with ease. So I'm really excited about that piece.
Totally.
It's going to be amazing.
Oh, can't wait. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, guys. Well, it's been great to share this space together and
Yeah.
create this vortex together. Thank you, Jason, for the time. And I just love the flow. We could go here forever, but
Oh, we
it's
could be
good
here for
to
5 hours.
people can breathe. We can do another one. We can do many of these before
We'll do
We have a
more.
year.
we have a year to go. So this is just part one, guys.
This is
Part one, the introduction. Get to know the frequency, get to know
There
the
you
field, understand the science, pretty much everything else, and then we'll just expand on it. It'll be fun.
We'll expand on it.
It'll be
And
so
what I
fun.
really love through this conversation as well is also just the layer of simplicity. You know, there's depth in the frequency, but such simplicity in the core messages and the core takeaways and the action items from here. And there's so many people out there that are making, I guess, consciousness and spirituality and even wealth creation so complicated. I always tell people, like, if it's that complicated, like, it's not truth, you know. And I just feel like there's been this essence of purity and truth and simplicity, which makes it available for everyone, which is so beautiful.
Yes.
Exactly. I agree. And that's keep spirituality simple, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it's all about. Just like spirituality is the overall goodness of a person, is how I define it. So if you're enhancing your goodness, you're a spiritual person.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be complicated. How
No.
can you enhance your goodness? Go do something that's good.
Yeah.
Work on yourself. You know, like it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to go do all these things and I have to do this many yoga positions every day and this thing and this. Like that's not what goodness is. That's what looking good is, not being good, right? And I think that misunderstanding of like what look is has confused us. So I'm grateful that I found another group of people on this planet that also understand that like spirituality is simple. It's just good. Just be good. Like continue to do that, and you'll eventually naturally do good. It happens. That's why that's our four premises is like being good, doing good, and having faith and enjoying the ride, because like they happen in order. If you are good, then everything you do is good. And then at that point, you don't really have to do anything other than have faith. And then once you finally get to the mastery of faith, it is really just enjoying the ride because it's hilarious. This world is utter insanity on like the highest level possible. If you could turn on a TV show, this is the greatest reality TV show ever performed. And that is why I laugh all the time. That is why I'm happy all the time, because this world is utter bonkers and it is beautiful in its bonkerness.
Yeah, and even when you're authentic and real, which is how we started this session, right? It's like, because some people think like, oh, now so spirituality is just being in a high vibe and it's always happy. Like, well, no, you'll have challenges, they'll come. Be authentic and real. The more authentic and real you are, the faster you'll shift it. You won't shift it pulling it under the pillow and faking it's not there. No, share it, whatever you need to do, whatever works for you. It can be, yes, maybe a yoga, maybe it's a breath, maybe it's a movement, maybe it's hug a tree, maybe it's just being silent, maybe eat something that helps you. Who cares? Maybe just write, journal. It doesn't matter what, just dance. Sometimes we just put music and dance. Who cares what that is? But the more real and raw you are, the more you accept that human part, then the faster you shift it. And then you're back to your natural state, which is this emanation of the light that's happening all the time, right? So this is maybe a good theme we could talk about. All the distortions of spirituality that maybe our next part 2 can be a little bit like all the spiritual.
I would love to do a demystifying spirituality.
Demystify all of it and let's bring everything to simplicity. Like, hey, no, wait. It's simpler than that. Don't waste your time, your energy, your money, everything. Right?
Yeah. We're seeing it happening. I mean, I think this is a whole other conversation, to be honest. But you know, we're seeing so many false gurus and false prophets and people with huge audiences and platforms simply just going, oh, I'm just choosing I'm not going to be there anymore. Okay, you know, all of that's happening for a reason. It's probably a conversation, but we're in it right now.
Go deep. We're gonna
go. The thing is, like, if you get to a point now, I would love to see some of those false prophets actually acknowledge it and say, hey, I was misled. I didn't understand what I didn't understand. And I'm going to go work on myself, because that would change the world faster than just bowing out and like being like, I'm so ashamed of myself. I can't acknowledge anything anymore. So I'm just going to disappear. Yeah. I would love to see, because there's nothing wrong with being wrong.
Exactly.
If you realize you're wrong, you switch things, you upgrade, you evolve. Like that is what we want as teachers to show the world. Like, I don't even consider myself a teacher. I consider myself a sensei, but ultimately that just means a respected individual. So the idea is really like, if you are wrong, be wrong in front of people. The other night, so I actually just did last night a video, my Wealth Series 3 video, right? And I went and picked up my crypto debit card like this. And I was so excited that I decided to flip it over. So I had to delete the video because I gave my credit card information online live, and I had to freeze my credit card and everything. And immediately after I wrote, see, I make mistakes too. I'm just human.
Yeah.
And that was like the breakthrough, because if you make a mistake, acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Like, there is no shame in messing up when pioneering. There's no shame in being excited and saying something that is a little bit too much information. It happens.
Yeah.
You're on the earth as a human being. And the motto of humanity is, I'm only human, I'm going to make mistakes. Own it. Be okay with it. Grow through the mistakes. If you think that you're going to live a perfect life and never make a mistake, you are not on earth right now. You are living some fantasy world.
Exactly.
And it's going to destroy you in the end. Because the amount of pressure you're putting on yourself to be perfect is keeping you from enjoying the ride.
Exactly.
Right.
But
And
you're
that's
going
why
to
we're
make
here.
mistakes.
That's why we're here. It's like we forgot about that. We're here to live through all those mistakes and challenges and actually transform them. See, it's all an illusion at the end, right? We get so attached to it.
But if I share my mistakes, then no one will know that I am a
I'm
guru
not a
anymore,
guru
and will be the end of the world.
Yeah, exactly. That's the belief structure. But the thing is, the more real you are, the more people respond to it. That's what I've learned. I make mistakes constantly. I fall in front of people. I have no problem doing it. I get up and I go, okay, cool. So you see that log right there that I just tripped on? No one else trip on that. If you want to trip on it, I guess you can, but be aware that it exists now. And then I just keep moving forward, because no one else was willing to lead in the way that I could lead, because no one else can lead in the way that I can lead. Just like no one else can lead in the way that you lead, or anyone else that's watching this video. That is the power of leadership. If you embody leadership, you're going to fall on your face, but no one else was taking the step.
Yeah.
And if you do take the step and fall on your face and you get back up and you take another step, you've now pushed humanity forward.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're here to do. And don't do it for saving humanity. Do it for saving yourself. Each step that you take is to save yourself, to become more of who you are, to save more of the essence that is, and to embody it. It's really easy. Like, I don't understand how people spend eons trying to understand a concept. Like, it doesn't, like, just be you in the world and fail constantly and forgive yourself and continue to move forward. Just do that.
Right.
In the end, that's it. That's all it takes.
That's all it takes.
Right.
Yeah. I love it. Oh, this is great for part 2, right? I think we just lit a fire that's ready to continue very soon. Because this is a theme. I feel so many people fall in this hole that we're talking about, and it's gonna help them so much, because again, it's the chip that it's just being repeated, that distortion. You don't even know you're in the program. So when we give the information and they're humble enough to receive it and see that we've all been there and we've all fallen into the trap, and you can detach from it. Oh my God, then you enjoy the ride wherever you're at. It doesn't
matter. Yeah. So part 2 sounds awesome. I'm about to start my tour, my 3-year tour, to plant trees all over the world. And I will be in Sedona next week, and then go to Maui after that, or no, Miami, then Maui, and then maybe I might come into Costa Rica between there. But somewhere around there, let's do part 2. So like maybe after I get back from Miami, let's do part 2, because I feel like it will be time.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the world will be ready around then. So like in July or something. But yeah, I loved this. This was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love that there was no masks this entire time. You guys were just being you. I was just being me. We were making mistakes. I've got my hair as long as possible. It's like crazy. I can't wait to shave. But this is me right now in this moment. I took a shower and I showed up.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the reason why I do these lives in my bedroom, because it's the most authentic space that I can show people. Is like, this is where I live.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's all these people that use those fake screens behind them that make it look like they're in like a workplace or something. Have you seen those? And they're like, oh yeah, I'm in my mansion right now. And it's like the green screen moves because their hand touches it.
Like,
yeah, and you're just like, really? Okay, if that's what you want, that's okay. But this is actually my room. This is not a green screen. Like, this is real.
Yeah.
There is nothing more powerful than real in this world that we are now in. Today is the first Destiny day of true reality. That is huge, guys. We made it. We made it to the world of realness. Now take the programming that isn't real and just let it go.
Oh, I love it.
Join us here.
Thank you, man. It's so beautiful. We love you so much, brother.
Yeah.
I love y'all. Bye.
Yay. Ciao,
Okay, man.
ciao.